Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
6 p.m. in Banki, in the Adamawa region of Cameroon. Same time right here in Akwadwala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. Civil society leaders lambast traditional rulers for calling on President Paul Biya or the President of the Republic to stand for re-election in the forthcoming presidential elections. The traditional rulers under the umbrella of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Cameroon met yesterday in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, in the presence of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atangaji. And away from that, members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party are denouncing electoral fraud linked to selective registration of potential voters in areas that are not open to the public, such as military barracks, chiefdoms, and some private homes of regime dignitaries. The party calls on the electoral organ to take responsibility for these massive electoral fraud that will jeopardize the sincerity of the results of the upcoming presidential elections. Those are major stories. Stay with us for greater details. Thank you so much for staying with us. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Civil society leaders lambast traditional rulers over what they consider as manipulation and desecration of the traditional administration in disregard of the interests of the people. Their declaration of support to President Paul Biya, especially ahead of the presidential election, is seen as a disappointment. They come together in a meeting of the National Council of Traditional Leaders took place yesterday in Yaoundé. We have greater details with Babila Jonathan.
Some chiefs under the umbrella of the National Council of Traditional Rulers have declared their support for President Paul Biya's candidacy in the forthcoming presidential election. Conversed on Yaoundé in the presence of Territorial Administration Minister Atangaji Paul, the traditional leaders said their support to the head of state is in line with their approval of his leadership when he came to power on November 6, 1982. According to them, President Paul Biya has enabled Cameroon to remain upright, stable, peaceful and respected. To some civil society leaders, the chiefs are being manipulated by the regime in power.
Our traditional rulers have completely lost their values when the traditional rulers were placed on the salary. And I said they were not physically placed on the salary. Their brains, their kingdoms were placed and kept in the political bank accounts in Yaoundé. And today we can all agree that our chiefs are manipulators. They are not for their people. They have lost touch with their people. And they have become salarized chiefs, in fact, politicized chiefs.
Despite the poor socio-economic and unstable security situation of Cameroon provoking lamentations from the bishops, the traditional leaders think President Biya should continue leading the nation.
Now we take you to the northwest region of Cameroon, where a devastating fire broke out in Bamenda in the early hours of this Tuesday morning, leaving warehouses, shops and small business in ruins. The incident has caused significant losses to local traders and reignited calls for improved firefighting measures in that city. Boostella, Northwest correspondent, has the details.
At about 3 a.m. this Tuesday, this was the scene on Savannah Street in Bamenda. As daylight approaches, the charred remains of shops, warehouses and small businesses tell a story of devastation of a fire that has not only destroyed goods but also livelihoods. Witnesses recount that the blaze spread rapidly, fueled by flammable goods stored in the area. Despite the efforts of locals who used buckets and other improvised means to contain the flames, the fire raged on, consuming property worth millions of francs CFA. The exact cause of the fire remains unknown, but locals suspect it may have been triggered by unavoidable action. Residents are now calling for the urgent upgrading of firefighting equipment at the Army Rescue Unit in Bamenda to ensure a swift and effective response in the future. Many believe that the scale of destruction could have been significantly reduced if there was prompt action from the Army Rescue Unit in Bamenda.
Northwest Chief Correspondent Bo Stella reporting there. Water scarcity remains a major problem in several localities in Cameroon. In the southwest region, for example, precisely in Barumbi, Memek Division, the people in this locality have been for about 2 years without potable water running from their taps. Despite this situation, they still pay water bills monthly. Villagers say the situation has made them to now rely on doubtful sources, exposing them to all sorts of health complications. Greater details with Malaglory.
Flowing. For the past 2 years now, I've not had water.
Because it has not been easy, especially during the dry season.
Rising temperatures and dry taps are frustrating residents across Barumbi, a locality in the town of Kumba, southwest region. For 2 years, the people say they've been without potable water, yet paying high bills to Calm Water, which, according to them, have refused to address their problem.
In fact, in April last year, they brought me a bill of 16,500. I took the bill myself to Snake. The only thing they told me was that I should go and take a picture of my meter, make a complaint, and bring to them. I did, but nothing happened. They came again with another one, 7,000 in November. When we had no, that one I've not even bothered. If they want to come and remove the meter, they should come and remove it.
I've been paying my bills regularly, but in fact, we don't know what's happening. They are complaining that there's no pressure, there's no pressure. What do we do? He too is confused. He says he has made so many reports to hierarchy, but nothing has been done.
After waiting for a solution in vain, the people have resorted to desperate measures to quench their thirst. However, the complaint buying mineral water is costly.
It is not everybody that is entitled to that, because it's not easy. You imagine the common man, the farmer, and so forth, because it is expensive to have that.
And the locals have also turned to unsafe water sources like boreholes.
I'm here struggling to see how I can have my well amended to light it, to have water that at least.
As I'm talking like this, very soon I will go to the borehole and start drawing water. You know, at my age, in fact, I might even collapse along the line, which is not easy.
While the people continue to rely on the only water source offered by a mobile telephone company, they plead with the government to intervene and for the Cameroon Water Utilities Corporation, Calm Water, to ensure constant water supply in Barumbi.
And on to other news, the Banki International Cattle Market has been inaugurated by the governor of Borno State in Nigeria. This market before now was destroyed by Boko Haram fighters, causing traders from Cameroon to abandon the activity. However, there are hopes that the cattle market will boost trade between Cameroon and Nigeria. It was inaugurated in the presence of the governor of the Far North region, Mijiawa Bakari. Eselus Liengu takes us to Banki.
The closure of the livestock market in Banki, Borno State in Nigeria, for the past 10 years due to Boko Haram attacks has had a devastating impact on Cameroonian traders, as the prolonged shutdown led to significant financial losses, forcing many traders in Cameroon to abandon their cattle business. Considering these struggles, the international cattle market in Banki has been inaugurated by the governor of Borno State in the presence of the governor of the Far North region of Cameroon. This market is poised to become a vital trade hub connecting Borno State with the Far North region.
Because of celebration of the market for the cow for this town, Banki town, is very, very important. It's not a one person, for everybody.
Governor Zulum emphasized that revitalizing the market is a top priority for his administration, recognizing its critical role in accelerating economic recovery in conflict-affected areas.
Robust infrastructure is vital for sustainable development. The inauguration of the Banki launch Banki symbolizes our dedication to improving infrastructure and implementing joint projects that benefit both nations. These initiatives will enhance threat, deepen the bonds of cooperation and bring friendship between our countries.
While the governor of the Far North region, Midiyawa Bakari, commended the initiative for promoting regional economic cooperation.
Today we gather to celebrate not one but 3 remarkable achievements, notably the commissioning of the Banki International Cattle Market, Tijani Banki Memorial Government Day Secondary School, and Government Lodge Banki. I want to start by the vision, leadership, and commitment to progress that has brought about these impressive projects.
Also, the reopening of educational institutions, including a college for students from Lamani in Cameroon and Banki in Nigeria, offers renewed hope for both Cameroonians and residents of neighboring countries facing similar challenges.
Asia Luciliengo reporting there. The identification exercise of commercial bike riders resumes in the city of Douala. The enrollment activity had been halted due to misunderstandings between the council and the bike riders syndicate. Just like the first phase of the enrollment exercise, bike riders say they are facing a lot of challenges in identifying themselves. Report Asia Luciliengo, Serif Chakutio reports.
After a few months of interruption, the enrollment of commercial motorbike drivers resumed. The announcement is contained in a press release from the Douala City Mayor. It stopped because we had to reorganize things. There was a lot of disorder and misunderstanding.
Maintenant, ça s'est pas arrêté en fait de façon, c'était juste temporaire puisque c'est la même opération qui continue.
And it is not like it completely stopped. Now we just have to continue and ask all motorbike riders to come and enroll themselves, giving information on the sector where they work and enter in possession of their identification jacket.
C'est-à-dire lui et son engin et sa zone d'opération, mais l'enrôlement est gratuit.
However, just like the first round of enrollment, commercial motorbike riders still face difficulties in the process of identification.
Je trouve que rien n'a changé. Pourtant, on nous a dit que les choses ont changé. Mais quand on arrive sur le terrain, c'est la même chose. Le Banki n'est pas là pour faire la publicité. S'il fallait que je fasse une quelconque publicité, on doit me payer.
They also decry the fact that one can only get identified after he would have integrated a commercial motorbike trade union and paid a sum of 2,000 francs CFA.
Si je dois être Bankineur,
I already know that as a commercial motorbike rider, I need to have my ID card, my driving license and other things. With that, I can't run away from the government. Why am I obliged to register in a syndicate if I wish to have my identification jacket? This is not serious at all.
Tout ce qu'on m'a demandé, on m'a dit que c'est juste pour m'imprimer le badge, 2000 francs. Pour imprimer le badge.
Donc nous sommes au Cameroun où chacun se lève, il fait comme il veut, quand il veut, où il veut. Nous sommes peu derrière. Maintenant, il faut qu'on avance. Où c'est l'État, où c'est le syndicat, ils doivent choisir. Si c'est l'État, on dit que c'est l'État. Si c'est le syndicat, on dit que c'est le syndicat.
This operation also aims to reduce the rate of aggressions, according to municipal authorities who admit that several criminals are disguised as motorbike riders to commit crimes. The end of the enrollment process is scheduled for the 1st of March 2025.
And now to one of our major lead stories, the CRM Party in creating registration centers in enclosed places and homes. Supporters of the BS regime, this to the CRM Party is a maneuver to ensure President Paul Biya wins another mandate. The CRM calls on authorized bodies to respect the law or shall be held accountable for all consequences. Innocent Aze reports.
In a January 27 press release of the CRM Party, the leaders disclosed they received information from reliable sources that Elections Organizing Body Elecam has scheduled special registration in private places like military barracks, police camps, traditional chiefdoms, and some private homes of dignitaries of the Biya regime. This in violation of the Electoral Code. Professor Maurice Kamto's party condemns and qualifies this as additional electoral fraud orchestrated by the Director General of Elecam under the canopy of the Electoral Council, instructed to take responsibility for these massive electoral frauds that jeopardize the sincerity of the results of the upcoming elections while threatening peace in Cameroon. The CRM recalls to the Electoral Council and Constitutional Council that for all useful purposes, that according to Article 50 of the Electoral Code, the establishment and revision of electoral lists, as well as the establishment and distribution of electoral cards, are considered preparatory operations for the elections. It is gross violation of the Electoral Code to create registration posts in areas not open to the public. Once citizens cannot freely access these centers for registration, questions must be asked. Dr. Hile Kamga questions the motive of this action by Elections Cameroon. Is it for a collective interest creating these registration centers in private places that will limit voter registration? I think the best thing to do now is to ensure that actors of the electoral process, including members of the Mixed Commission, be present in all the registration centers at all times. The CRM also calls on Cameroonians and the international community to witness the increase in these electoral frauds, paradoxically orchestrated by ELECAM with the intellectual complicity of the Constitutional Council. The CRM recalls the members of the authorized bodies who clearly refuse to apply the Constitution and the Electoral Code will be accountable for everything that will result from these crimes against democracy and the Cameroonian people.
Now we talk sports. The final draw of the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 was concluded following a star-studded ceremony at the Mohammed V National Theatre in Rabat, Morocco on Monday, January 27, giving the 24 qualified teams their path to the trophy. Who are the future opponents of the Indomitable Lions? Smagic and Gabriel has answers in this report.
Cameroon now have at least 11 months to prepare for the Africa Cup of Nations as they now know their future group opponents in the competition. Coming out of the draw ceremony, head coach Marc Brice says apart from arch rivals and defending champions Cote d'Ivoire, they have no fear for their other two group opponents, Gabon and Mozambique, though they are well respected. When 5 times champions Cameroon will take on defending champions Cote d'Ivoire in Marrakech, Morocco, it will be the 17th time both football nations will be rubbing shoulders in a major tournament. The first confrontation between Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire date as far back as AFCON 1970 in Khartoum, Sudan, where Cameroon struggled to beat Cote d'Ivoire 3-2, and their last meeting was in 2021 during the FIFA World Cup qualifiers at the Chapoma Stadium. The CEMAC derby will see the Indomitable Lions taking on Gabon in their first outing in Agadir, Morocco. The two nations have met on a football pitch in a competitive game 6 times, with their last meeting being in 2009. Mozambique, which is another opponent for the Indomitable Lions in Agadir, has played the Indomitable Lions 3 times, with the last between the two happening in 2020. Apart from Cote d'Ivoire and Mozambique, which were in last AFCON in 2023, Gabon is returning to the tournament after missing out on the adventure in Cote d'Ivoire. Apart from host Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon that crossed the group stage of the tournament in 2023, Mozambique was disqualified at the group stage of the competition.
That sports element ends this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is a civil society actor. He's known as Song Derick, and we'll be discussing on a recent outing of traditional rulers in Yaoundé. Good evening, Song Derick. It's a pleasure to have you in Talking Point tonight. Traditional rulers under the umbrella of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Cameroon give their unwavering support to President Paul Biya to stand for re-election. What's your take on the outing of these chiefs?
Having you, and I'm glad to be on your platform once again. Well, I'll start by saying that the traditional rulers have their opinion. But in this case, traditional rulers are custodians of traditions and the culture of the people, and they are called upon to uphold that traditions as actors. Endorsing an individual or a particular candidate as a presidential candidate for 2025, question that very authority that traditional rulers have. Such actions risk eroding trust of the communities that they are supposed to unite, the communities that they are supposed to bring together. Their action alone is dividing that community, because chiefs are supposed to be like a river that accommodates everything, no matter the path. But by saying openly that this is a person that the chiefs or the council is entrusting for 2025 simply blocks the door for other political aspirants to come up. We understand that some places, some chiefdoms, some fondoms are in Yaoundé moving in briefcases. They don't even know where their people are. At this time, when chiefs have taken political inclination above the suffering of the people, it is sad that chiefs will get up one morning, sit in front of TV channels to declare their support behind one candidate. Their political inclination is important, but it should not be voiced publicly, because the chiefs have one vote, and of course, while they are exercising their right, they should not call the media to tell people where they belong. It's sad, and it only shows you how archaic the Cameroon political landscape is.
Now, Derick, some people are of opinion that the government is using the traditional rulers to counteract the outing of the bishops of the Roman Catholic Church who called on President Paul Biya to step down. Do you see any possibility of manipulation?
Everywhere is a politic of construction, but the politics in Cameroon is a politic of manipulation. I think they are practicing what they know best. First things first, Emma, the timing of this meeting is questionable. You bear with me. 3 years after the death of the president, there was never a meeting called. No meeting called for that effect. But at the eve of a political election, the chiefs summoned a council with top on agenda to discuss about the demise of the former president, and then endorse a particular presidential candidate. The delay suggests two things. One, the chiefs don't care about the culture of the people. They don't care about traditional leadership. If they did, this meeting should have been called up since. Two, calling on the media to do such declarations means that the chiefs are openly declaring a partnership with the current regime, which to me, it's not really very good. It is possible that the sudden engagement of these chiefs could come at a time when the bishops have openly cried that they need change, and Cameroonians are indeed need. They are hungry for change. It's just at the time they want to counteract that voice. But we want to be very clear with us, and it's something we should say. One of the voices is a voice of God, and the other one is a voice of hunger. Because your people cannot be suffering. The chiefs have not called for anything about reformation, change, development, and emergence. All they see is a candidate to run for 20, 25, 42 years after governing the nation. It's a sad situation, but like I said, they have their opinion.
To some observers, such traditional rulers are indifferent to the suffering of their subjects. Do you share the same view?
I must say this perception is very valid. Emma, when last did you hear a chief or a fund question about the road, electricity, water, schools in their various chiefdoms and fondoms? When last did you hear a chief come out publicly to complain about the suffering masses of the people. When last did you hear a chief from the southern Cameroons come out to complain that people are dying? It's been long. But when it comes to political transactions where they feel like they are going to enjoy from politics, because to me this is not only politics, it is politicking. They are not politicians, they're politicians, because they are fighting for their stomachs. It's something we should say and we should not mince words about. A chief's silence during the people's suffering is louder than a cry. Why should the chiefs be indifferent to the suffering masses of Cameroonians? When last did the chief come out to tell you about the prices of commodities, basic commodity at cutthroat prices that are affecting their citizens? Well, one advice, perhaps I do not possess the wisdom to talk to the chiefs, but they need to step back, sit back, rethink, re-strategize, pick up the baton of the culture of the people, to understand that the voice of the people is the voice of God that they represent. And if they leave the voice of the people to speak for the voices of their belly, then they are no longer serving the culture and the people that the ancestors choose them to serve, but they are serving their self-interest, and self-interest will not take somebody very far.
Now, we can't just globalize all these traditional rulers under one head. We know one of the traditional rulers, such as Jean Ramos Sokoji of the Bamenju clan in the West region, who has been very outright about the challenges faced by Cameroonians while calling on the present regime to step down and give chance to order to rule. Now, I want to know from you, what influence do you think these traditional rulers can have as far as this election is concerned?
Well, Emma, at the level of before now, I think we don't have to debate that chiefs have a lot of influence when it comes to their people, when it comes to the customs, when it comes to the people where they govern, especially in the rural areas. Chiefs have a lot of influence. But mind you that when the chiefs at one point in time refused to play the neutrality principle or the neutrality of politics, a chief's fandom or chiefdom should be open to receive people of different ideology. They should be able to receive CPDM, receive MRC, receive SDF, receive PAP and other political parties and civil society activists without necessarily showing their inclination. It is true they have an influence, but there is just one good news. The chiefs, in their number, each chief has just one vote, but the people have more votes. That is why at this point in time it is important to call on Cameroonians. If you are thirsty for change and you want change, therefore you have to register massively in the electoral register to vote. If you need change, you need to vote. It is true there are many ways that change can come in Cameroon, but the closest we have now is the elections. Why not grab your voter's card? During October elections, vote. If you are supporting the chiefs, vote for their choice. If you are against the chief's choice, vote for your choice. Like we said, we do not know who we are going to vote for, but actually I know Cameroonians know who they will not vote for.
Now, Sunday, let's take this last question. How has the relationship between the government and traditional rulers affect traditional administration?
First things first, Emma, when the crown comes from the king, the chiefs become servants. I want to think that the relationship between the chiefs, the funds, and the administration was supposed to be a cordial relationship of being auxiliaries of the state and not political campaigners for the government. But as it stands now, the chiefs have lost their power. They are dependent on certain political parties rather than having their own autonomy. For instance, if the this is particularly for the Northwest region, can give the President of the Republic the title Fund of Funds. What does that mean? It means that if the President of the Republic visits the Fundum of Mancom, the Fund of Mancom will give the chair for the President to sit, because he is a fund of funds, which is a desecration of the tradition of the people. It is unheard of. And of course, if they can give titles, it is okay. But I do think and believe that the relationship between the chief and the administration is going on abusively. And because it is going on abusively, traditional leaders are gradually losing authority and authenticity in the eyes of their subjects. And the subjects are asking a lot of questions. Are we on the same track, or traditional authority, customs have left the traditionalists and they are now politically inclined because their bellies are hungry?
Sang Derick, civil society actor, thank you so much for your time. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us. Coming up next in some few minutes is the program Equinoxe While, presented by Serge Along Otu. From us to you over there, have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye for now.